welcome back to B-Side Banter. This is episode number 13, and I'm here with Sal. He's on TikTok as Sal Luciano. He also has Instagram, but I know you mostly from TikTok. So, Sal, introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about what's up, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. What's good? I'm Sal Luciano. I make TikTok videos mostly about Drake. You've probably seen me singing Drake in my car.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
I know, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
totally.
yeah, but I do other music reviews. I'm
Mhm.
a cook full time. First, I'm a full time chef. My family's got a restaurant. It's what I've been doing since I was born. So this is just a side thing
Mhm.
that I do. But I appreciate all your support. And yeah, so let's get into it, man. I'm here to talk music.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned it. You talk a lot about Drake, and I know it's not all you do, but it's a lot of what you do.
It's a fair
And
fair portion.
how is that for you? Like, do you find that you have mostly like support, or do you find that you get a lot of like haters coming at you, like especially lately in the last year, probably,
Oh
right?
my god. So I started making Drake content after one of my videos because I used to make comedy skits before anything. I used to try and
Mm,
blow up on TikTok a long time ago.
sure.
And the one video that took off was me reciting something that Drake said in Middle of the Ocean, which I thought was like the most pretentious
Yeah,
thing that could ever be said. But
yeah, yeah,
that video blew up. And then after that, I figured that's what people wanted to see because every time I did a different video, didn't do as well. So now I've kind of cornered myself in a
yeah.
way, but
Hmm.
it's not so bad, right? Like at
Yeah,
first I had everybody's support because people love Drake's music. That's just how it is worldwide. He's worldwide, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
across the globe, you had people supporting me. But now after the Kendrick beef, it's a little bit harder because they associate me. They see my face and they're like, "Oh, that's the Drake guy. That's the big bad wolf. Like that's the guy who
Mhm.
supports all this bad stuff." And it's like, "No, dude, I'm kind of just like a regular guy."
Yeah, yeah.
That's I think a lot of people forget when they're scrolling on their phones. They see somebody very often. They might think that they're more, up there than they
Mhm.
actually are, right?
Sure,
Not that I
yeah.
want to demean myself, but it's like, come on, I'm not on Drake's level or anything. These people, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're not one in his, like, posse or something, you like,
No, like
you're
that.
not
And that's
representing him.
exactly, and that's the thing, and a lot of people, I appreciate you see my face and that's what where your brain goes, at least I've
Totally.
made that established myself that much, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
other than that, no, dude, I'm just a regular guy, like, I just make videos in my car, that's about it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's amazing. I found you probably like, pretty much at the beginning of when I started doing, like, this kinda TikTok music content creation stuff, it was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and, similar to what you said, you start out somewhere and then you just kinda, like, pivot and pivot.
Yeah.
I've just been pivoting forever, so now I'm landed on this podcast, but I'm pretty sure I started following you, back then, and, yeah, I honestly, I'm here for all the content. I'm not a huge Drake fan. I like Drake. I especially prefer Drake's older stuff. I think I've started to um, just not be as big of a fan of his newer things. Although he always is good for a banger, right? He's always good, no matter how critically no matter how much maybe critics don't like his albums, he always has one, two, three, or four. You know what I mean? Hits on them. Like there's always you can
Oh,
always
yeah.
guarantee he's gonna have a great track. So I can appreciate that about his new stuff for sure. But
One thing he
um,
also does is and another reason sorry, another
no,
thing he
that's
does
fine.
is he always makes sure, like, he's got the heavy hitters, but you can go to
Mhm.
any one of his albums on streaming platforms, and he always has a heavy hitting really, substantial 4 to 5 minute rap song in there where he's just talking to his fans.
Yeah,
And I feel
it's
like
true.
that's not really appreciated by a lot of people because the ones that hit the charts are the ones that you can dance to and that's what everybody notices, right? But they don't appreciate that he can actually write and then they go and they start saying all these crazy things without having like any knowledge of his catalog whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think too, everything has just gotten so much more volatile with this whole beef because, there's all kinds of things that Kendrick apparently uncovered, right? I'll use
Yeah.
air quotes because you know, not a whole lot of it has been substantiated, but you can even think about like ghostwriters and stuff like that. Like they both threw shade at each other for things like that,
Oh
and
my
it's
god,
like,
dude. If you're in a studio and you're making a song with like 3, 4 guys and they even say one word that you use legally, you have to put them down.
exactly.
You have to put
Yeah.
them on the, and I think that's what so many people don't understand. It's like just because there was people in the studio while he was making the track doesn't mean that they wrote it and handed it to him and he just said, "Thanks, I'll pocket millions for this." Like
Yeah. Yeah,
just
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference between, like I okay, I guess I'll back up a little bit, because if you think of the pop world, or even probably, like, lots of other genres as well, there's all kinds of artists that don't even write their own songs at all.
Oh yeah.
They just cut, a song that they've found that maybe their label has, like, said, "Hey, check this out," or whatever, and they cut it. That's a big thing in country music, right? And so I I I'm curious why that's such, like, it's so, um I guess, taboo in hip hop. Like, it's like, if you do that, if you cut a song that you didn't write yourself, that you didn't do the lyrics for, or and it's getting to the point where it's like, if you didn't even write like the whole song, people are like, oh well, they're not really legit. They're not, you know what I mean? They're just posing, they're faking.
I don't know. It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. There's a lot of people who, take the writing part of it very seriously, and I
Mhm.
can I can understand that because, you're speaking to the world essentially after these people are trusting that this is your art that you're putting out, and I understand it kind of looks maybe, you're biting somebody's style, they're not getting the same recognition. That's like it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Sometimes the writing aspect matters and sometimes it doesn't matter as much. Like in
Mhm.
my personal opinion, if Drake didn't write a single word of One Dance
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like it wouldn't bother me. It's like whatever, dude.
Yeah.
The ones that I'm listening to him talking for are his long form
Mhm.
writtens. You know what I mean? And those are the ones I'd be really upset if I found out he didn't write those. But I just don't believe that to be true because I've been listening to the guy for so long, for
Mhm.
15 plus years, right? Like since I was a little guy.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
just
totally.
doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and what do you think of this whole beef? Like, it's been going on forever. Like, I think most people are like, it's probably okay for it to end, but, like, from a Drake, like, diehard fans perspective, what do you think?
It's never gonna end, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, 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 no. It's not gonna end. They're both gonna crash out. Like that's it. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry to use the term crash out,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
but I think it'll be a literal crash out. Like I'm
yeah.
probably things I can't say on here, but I think they'll both go to extremes to
Mhm.
back up what they believe in because come on, Kendrick Lamar is a great artist. Like I've never gone on my page and said I hate Kendrick Lamar ever.
Mhm.
Do I disagree with the things he said? Yes, absolutely. But I know that he's capable of making great music, and I've always said that. And I'm not gonna be wishy washy about it just because I make Drake content.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
the guy is so talented, and he's so true to his morals that he'll die about this. Like he will. He'll go out swinging. He's like, this is what I said to be true, and if I turn my back on it nobody's gonna my legacy's ruined at that point. His legacy is no longer because his fans will remember him as an instigator and a liar, and it's just not ideal. Drake, on the other hand, also cares about his image. I would say even more than Kendrick Lamar.
Sure, yeah.
He's always cared about how he was perceived, and it's probably killing him a little to think that everybody thinks this, but at the same time he's not in the same kind of vulnerable position he was when he was in the beef with Meek Mill back
Mhm.
in 2015
Yeah.
or 2016. He's so much more established, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
I don't know, financially he may not take the hit. I don't think the beef will ever end.
Mm.
But I do think that it'll just die down and become kind of hey, remember when that happened
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
It'll, like, they'll
yeah,
always hate each other, but, like, it won't be as intense as them as, a year ago when they were trading songs,
they'll
basically.
always hate each other. They'll never do a concert with each other. They'll never
Yeah.
work together.
Mm.
But yeah, I think Drake and Kendrick both have at least another 5 to 10 years of music making in them. Despite what Drake said on his interview with Yachty, he said he was trying to make a graceful exit. Fact is, I don't think he has the ability to leave music. He needs to be in the spotlight. That's why I think he'll crash out about this, because I
Mhm.
don't think he's capable of
Yeah.
going back to a regular ass life now. You know,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah, it would be tough. It would be tough to, like, especially when you're used to, like, it's one thing, like, because obviously he's still gonna be getting money from his, from his
Mhm.
music, but it's one thing when you're, like, in the center of the spotlight and you're getting all this attention, like, as you're touring, all that stuff. So I could totally see why that would be so tough. As any artist that's hit it, like,
Yeah, dude.
you think of
Anybody, man.
anybody, like, that would be really hard. That would kind of be like you'd be going through like a midlife crisis at that point. You'd be like, who am I anymore? Like, I was the person that just toured all the time, put music out all the time. Now I just have enough money to do whatever I want still, but like, what do I want?
Listen, they both are passionate about themselves. Okay, it started way back. Like, I'm sure you know,
Mhm.
they've been sneak dissing each other for like 12 plus years,
Yeah,
long time.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man. The fact is, take care. Drake gave Kendrick his own song, Buried Alive, gave him the interlude. Um, and as his sophomore album, it's a risky thing to do to give some other artist a whole song on your album,
Mhm.
right? And like, I think that was showing love and respect for sure. And then he brought him on tour, you know, and they had a couple collab. I really don't. I know the verse on Control is where it all happened, because Drake was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I gave you, in last year, I gave you a whole song on my album, and now you're going out here and you're name dropping me.
Mhm.
And you have half of the fans that are like, okay, well, that's just what battle rap, or that's what rap is, you know?
Yeah.
Let Drake come with a response to that or whatever. That's
Yeah.
what that's
Yeah.
why the fans are tuning in. And then
Mhm.
you have other people like Drake thinking, why would you say something negative about me if you didn't mean it for real? Right? And
Yeah.
that's just how it all started. Kendrick thinks Drake's a baby who can't take a hit.
Yeah.
And Drake thinks that Kendrick was being unnecessary and being like a clout chaser in a sense, just
Sure.
saying his name, in that song, even though he wasn't the only one. He said like 11 other dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Drake's the only one who took it to heart, like
Yeah.
really, really deeply. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Other artists, like other hip hop artists or whatever, have done kind of something similar to what Kendrick has done, but like he's probably the biggest name that's just he just like likes to clean house. Like he just likes
yeah, dude.
to attack. And
Yeah.
like we kind of forget because like he kind of bowed out, but like J. Cole was in the middle of all this too, and like he was just like, nah, like I'm gonna, like, he like dropped his mixtape or whatever, and then
Delete later.
yeah, and like it wasn't received well, like maybe by like some, like maybe J, like there were some good songs on it, but it wasn't received well as like a response to what Kendrick said, I guess. And then he was just kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm done, and nobody really like kind of remembers that, which is so funny. And it's like everything's just Kendrick and Drake, but it started with the three of them. So it is interesting. And you have J. Cole as one of your favorite artists as well. So like what did you think of that? His response, his like what happened there, how he just bowed out, like
It was disappointing, but I understood completely. Like, it was
yeah.
disappointing because I wanted to see him push himself to the limit and make song and back and forth with them. It would have been great. But it's like he said in Port Antonio, like a few months after the beef ended. I think he dropped in like November, something like that. He said, or no, maybe it was even later than that. But he said, I wouldn't have lost the battle. I would have lost a bro. I would have gained a foe, like for no reason, you know.
Mm.
And he's like, I don't have personal animosity to either Drake or Kendrick. So who am I to like step in the way? They hate each other. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why am I gonna get in the middle of that and also risk my reputation? Because what if I say something dumb?
Mhm.
Like, what if he came at Kendrick really hard? He
Yeah.
said, what did he say? What was that song? 7 Minute Drill,
Yeah. 7 minute drill. Yeah.
the one that he deleted.
Yeah.
If he came at him harder than that, like, that was a good song. It was a good rap. It had a good flow, but it didn't have the same aggression. Like, he wasn't angry. He's like, yo, first shit was classic. Yo, last shit was tragic. Like, he didn't even believe himself that he was mad when he was
Yeah.
recording it. So
Yeah.
I get why he bowed out. I totally get it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he kinda caught astray, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? He was kinda like I don't think Kendrick was necessarily attacking him directly. I think he just likes to use the shotgun approach and just, like,
Yeah.
he knew that J. Cole and Drake were, calling themselves the big 3, and he was like, "Well, I guess I gotta get J. Cole with this too."
No, I don't know, dude. I think there was a lot of talk about first person shooter having Kendrick on it too. That's just a rumor though. Like I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
That was the initial idea, Drake's initial idea to get all 3 of them on it.
Mhm.
Kendrick doesn't want to associate himself with Drake, so he's obviously going to say like no, I'm not even going to think about that.
Yeah.
But Drake kind of manipulated Cole a little bit in the sense that he got J. Cole to deliver the line that he wanted to say, which
Mhm.
was bringing up the big 3. He got J. Cole to do it,
Yeah.
and it sounded casual at the time, but it was a signal for Kendrick to know that like the war had started, I guess.
Yeah.
And J.
Yeah.
Cole had no idea, so he definitely did get a little bit manipulated for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's so wild, like, that whole I don't know, like, I for a while, I was like even though I knew about, Control and I knew about Drake and Kendrick's, like, history, for a while, I was kind of buying into, like, the conspiracy that, like, they were all like, this was all just, like, a publicity stunt, that they were just trying to get both of them
I
out onto
was
the
too. I
forefront.
was.
Because I was like, "Man, this has exploded in a way that is just like, it seems too perfect." Like, not only did it catapult Kendrick and also Drake, but mostly Kendrick, because Drake was already in the front of everything. He was already, the most streamed, most popular hip hop artist, but it so catapulted Kendrick, and it, all of this stuff came out of it. I was like, "Man, this is too perfect." Like, this has got to have been some sort of a publicity stunt or something. But then it just kept going and going, and I was like, okay, no, if it was, I feel like it's probably legit. But
All I know is a whole lot of money was made by both parties.
absolutely.
Like, my God. Like, yeah, Drake took a hit, maybe a little bit. He's still got more money than either of us will ever see in our lives.
No,
So,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, financially, he's going to be fine. But like I said, his reputation is what he cares about more. So,
Mhm.
everything that he's done since then, making the 100 gigs accessible from that burner Instagram account, plot twist, like him doing all that, it's for a reason. And I don't know exactly what it is yet, but he has clips of everything, right? He's so many things are on that page that we would have never seen if this beef didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
So he's gonna make sure, however long it takes,
Mhm.
a year, 2 years, he's gonna make sure that the script gets flipped because he doesn't want to go to his grave knowing that people think this of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And like the accusations are pretty serious. Like,
Yeah, dude. Of
like
course they are, man.
it's not like
Who's
Kendrick
gonna
was
play
like,
devil's advocate for this?
yeah, like, it's not like Kendrick was just like, "Oh, dude, you're soft," or like, "You can't rap," or like, it's not like his main thing was like, "You have a ghostwriter and like they write all your songs." Like it was much more intense than that. It was like
Yeah.
so pointed, and I think maybe some of why it died a little bit too, just in the public eye, like not on, like setting aside that it's been a year, so it's been a long time, but like none of this is substantiated. Like you can't just throw out such an intense claim and then nothing happened. Like it was
I know.
different when Drake had a secret son and then it turned out to be true. It was like, okay, like that's legit. But like this whole thing of, based like him being a pedophile or whatever, like and he did it again at the Super Bowl. Calls him right out, looks right in the camera. Like one of the craziest
Right.
moments. Yeah, one of the craziest moments like ever. And
Nuts.
it's such a crazy, crazy claim, and, you know, there's not really anything there, and then of course, all the rumors start flying when, Diddy gets like, his house gets raided, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's, Drake's gonna be caught because
He
this
did
is
this at the perfect time,
I
man.
know, I know. It was just all so crazy. So crazy. It's just such wildness.
Yeah.
is
I have I love to speculate and I love to think like,
yeah.
what might happen. I know Drake landed the World Cup for next year because they're coming to
Mhm,
Canada.
mhm,
And I don't know if he's going to do a performance
mhm.
necessarily,
Sure.
but I would love to think that between now and then, there will be some sort of a round two or
Mhm,
like something that Drake releases so that he is able to perform it on that world stage as like
mhm.
a screw you to Kendrick because
Yeah, okay.
Kendrick was talking to 150 million people. Drake's going to be talking to like 2 billion people.
I know. It's yeah, the World Cup is insane. Well, and yeah, it's like that's the other side of it too is like Kendrick in a sense kind of sacrificed the biggest stage he'd ever play in order to attack Drake.
Yep.
Like
He's
he
not
could have
getting the Super Bowl again.
no, and he didn't like he played a couple hits, but his whole set was built around attacking Drake again and even more part.
Yeah, it was. It was about attacking Drake, but it was also a lot of Trump's policies. Like
It was,
he
yeah.
there was a lot of symbolism there. Like I know Kendrick fans get, shit on for caring so much about the symbolism and, everything, but fact is he's very calculated,
He
right?
is.
So
He is.
I get why people like the performance. I didn't personally hate the performance. I hated that he doubled down on calling Drake a PDF on, national television, but
Yeah.
if he believes that in his heart, why wouldn't he say it?
It's true. It's true, but, like, is that the most important like, I guess to me, he kinda cheapened what he was saying, like, in terms of Trump's policies and all that stuff. It kinda got lost a little bit because he had 2 agendas, and it's like, you always know if you split your agendas like that, what's gonna stick out the most, and the thing that stuck out the most from his performance was him looking into the camera saying, "Hey, Drake,"
Like
and
you like him, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That was the only thing that stuck out from that performance. And like, yes, he did like you said, he did, he had some good stuff in there, but it wasn't typical Kendrick what we're used to, where like his whole performance is just amazing. Like we're talking about his Grammys performance. Like you know what I mean? Like you're talking about these really amazing like social justice, equal rights, all of this stuff. And like the BLM movement was basically All Right. Like All Right was basically the theme song for that move. Like that's been his whole career and like I feel like to a degree as a Kendrick fan, I do feel like slightly disappointed that this is where his like career is kind of focusing right now.
Okay, so I can totally agree with that, and I believe me, like I'm a Drake supporter, but
Mhm.
so like that's gonna want to make me find a reason to bash him a little, but I don't know, dude. Like I don't know, Kendrick. He did use Drake's name too much. He made the whole performance about Drake, but if he's right about Drake and Drake ends up, getting really like I'm talking blackballed from the industry and nobody plays
Sure.
his music anymore, then it'll be a really positive thing for Kendrick to have for his legacy because he'll
That's
say,
true.
I wasn't okay with rap the way it was with hip hop anymore. I wasn't okay with it because this guy came in and drowned it out. So it depends. Right now he looks like a fool, but if Drake goes down like really bad, then he won't look like a fool in the
Yeah.
future, in my opinion.
That's
You'll look back and people will say, wow, he knew from here. He doubled down so hard. He said it at the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he sat. Yeah, it definitely will. Like people will be like, he sacrificed the biggest stage for something that he believed in more. You know what I mean? Like he
right
wanted
now
to
it doesn't
follow
seem
Ken.
worth it, but
Yeah,
if he's right, then
yeah,
it will be worth it.
yeah,
I don't want it to be right, and I don't think it is, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter what we think.
yeah.
They could be weird. You never
Well,
know.
yeah.
Like you never
Well,
know.
the reality of the situation is both of them, both Drake and Kendrick, have so much money that they could be doing weird stuff, and money hides
And
a whole
nobody
lot
will
of
ever
stuff.
know. Exactly.
Exactly. Like
Exactly.
that's just how it goes. That's what money and power gets you in a lot of cases. So it is kind of one of those things where like unfortunately maybe we won't ever know or maybe we will. But it is like I don't know. There's just so much talk because then you have the most recent thing that Kendrick has kind of done is appear on Playboy Cardi's album, and a lot of
Yeah.
people have been very upset about that because Playboy Cardi is a very well-known like woman abuser, and it's
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me, Drake?
Yeah.
So what is it?
Also, Dr. Dre's thing. That's a whole different story. Dr. Dre himself is not a great person.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So it's like it is one of those things where it's hard to see sometimes that through line of like if you're saying that you're acting on all these principles, like wouldn't you just want to do that everywhere?
Uh-huh.
Or is this like what's going on here? Some of this stuff's not
Not if
adding
it's
up.
gonna mess the money up though. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like
Yeah, I guess.
he's I don't know, dude. He had 3 features and it's like, yeah, like I don't know. Personally, I don't mind if Kendrick wants to do like a 1-2, a bop here and there, like do it, whatever. Go feature on a song. Drake's been doing like 45, 50 features a year for like the last 10
I know
years,
he's a
you
machine.
know.
If he's
So
anything, he's a machine.
Kendrick for sure he should be expanding himself and being, in the public eye even more.
Yeah.
But you're not you're not living up to your principles, dude. You can't say I hate people who do this and this and this and then go make money with a guy who's exactly that, what you hate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just,
It's true.
it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah.
It really
It
doesn't.
it is. It's so weird. And there's all kinds of things that I don't know, you just sometimes it doesn't add up. But hopefully, like you said, it probably will never die, but I'm hoping that I guess for my sake, I would rather nothing be like neither side be true of what they're throwing at each other.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
kind of, you know
yeah,
what I mean? I
exactly.
would I would rather both sides be kind of just like making some things up a little bit or like taking rumors too far. You know what I mean? Like cuz yeah, sure there have been rumors about Drake and like some of the people he's messaged in the past. Like okay, whatever. Is that substantiated? Not really um, or not at all. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but it's like,
It's like you said, anybody can make anything look like anything,
yeah,
and it's just convenient. It's convenient the times that these things, circulate the internet.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to
yeah,
say.
yeah. Um, kind of like jumping from this into maybe a more positive side
Yes.
of the whole Drake stuff is like if you were to come alongside somebody that was a diehard Kendrick fan, hates Drake's guts because
Mm.
of this. How would you try to win them to the side of Drake? What would you do?
Well, I wouldn't try to win them. I would try and be like, listen, you can listen to both. You can be neutral, you know, and then okay. So a lot of people they hear Drake's voice and they can't handle it, and that's
Sure.
fine because
Yeah.
they've already made up this image of him in their head.
Yeah.
But I what I would do is I would play them the deep cuts. I'd play them the songs that made me fall in love with Drake. And I'd be like, are if you really listen to this and you can't recognize that this man worked for what he has and that he's a genuine person, because I'm not listening to it just so I can dance. Like I'm listening to the words that he says and making a judgment on what kind of character he is. I think he's a good dude because I've been listening to him for so long and that's the judgment I came up with. It would suck to think that I was completely wrong,
Mm,
right? But
yeah.
that's what I would do. I'd show them the songs that made me get to where I am today, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what I'd do. And you can't force people, but and I wouldn't get angry either. I'd just be like, listen, it's okay to be wrong. It's fine. It's okay to be wrong. It's fine.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
probably what I do.
No, that makes sense. What are your thoughts on, like, his last, like, maybe, like, 3 to 4 albums? Like
Drake.
yeah.
Okay, some sexy songs for you is incredible, and I'm not glazing. It's incredible. All 14 or however many songs are on the album. I think there's like 20, 21 songs, but I think 14 of them were on the charts like from day one.
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude. I think that it perfectly encompasses just the way that Drake and Party Next Door make people in Toronto feel in a way. Like
Sure.
in Mississauga too, obviously, but
Yeah.
they just really tapped into their style and just fully, maxed it out. And
Mhm.
the songs get better with every listen. So I loved some sexy songs for you. For All the Dogs was good. It's not a top 5 album for me, but the time that it dropped is super nostalgic for me because I was doing really well on TikTok at the time too.
Sure, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when I had a lot of circulation.
Mhm.
Her Loss is before that. Her Loss was the collab with 21. full of bangers. Like I said, it's not very substantial unless you're talking about Middle of the Ocean or
Yeah.
Hours in Silence. Like those two are Middle of the Ocean's a top 5 Drake song for sure.
Mhm.
Um, and then honestly, never mind. I like some of the songs. I'm not gonna go on and say honestly, Nevermind's actually my favorite Drake album just to sound different because it's just
Yeah.
like we can be real with
Yeah.
ourselves. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't his best work, but it's cool that he, tapped into that and tried something out, right? Not a lot of people do that. And
Yep.
I think he gets a lot of hate, for being a culture vulture, but I don't know, dude. Name it like not a lot of other people are confident enough to try and dabble in Spanish music or like, Portuguese
Sure.
music or whatever it is and try and speak another language. Like some people just don't have that in them. And Drake knows he's like, I'm that guy. I'm going to do it regardless. Some people aren't going to like it, but the people who do are the people that I make music for.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter the people who don't see the vision in his
Mhm.
head.
Yeah. So what would you think would be like one of Drake's like weakest albums? Do you think it's from his new era or do you think it's from his older era?
Yeah, no, honestly, Nevermind has to be one of his weaker albums for
Yeah.
sure. For
Okay.
sure. I'll say maybe even the weakest. Like I don't know, More Life got a lot of hate because he tapped into like a UK sound and that's
Mm.
when he was like introducing that, but I think he did it very well and I think a lot of people from the UK have co-signed him enough
Yeah.
that it makes me mad when people in North America are like, "Well, what's he trying to do?" It's like, dude, you don't even know the sound. Like you're not even from there. The people who
Mhm.
are from there appreciate it. So who are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
I would say honestly Nevermind definitely his worst album.
okay. And I kind of appreciate your take on Some Sexy Songs for You because I don't think that that was necessarily received super well critically. Like if you look at like critics reviews, but it is kind of like it's an album for like you said, people in Toronto. Like it really does kind of seem like there was a lot of intentionality there. And obviously as somebody that's in Toronto, you can actually like you have the sentiment there, whereas a lot of obviously Drake has millions, tens of hundreds of millions of fans all over the world, and so not a lot of people are going to really understand what he's trying to do with that, or it's not going to be sentimental to them as opposed to people that
Yeah.
are in Toronto, have spent significant time in that area, like you said. Yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't think I've heard that.
What I'll say is the reason I have that thought, like obviously I have a little bit of a bias because I'm from Toronto and the
Yeah.
songs were curated for people like us. Like I get it. But I think that a lot of people were expecting him to really, you know, triple down and prove to the world that he can write
Mm,
because that's what Kendrick kind of egged him on to do in a sense.
sure.
Like not not necessarily, but that was the result. Like a lot of people attacked him for not making music that speaks to people who struggle and just making club bangers and whatnot. And I think that's the bag that people expected him to tap into. They wanted him to prove that he's like this real talented writer and he's like no, I'm not on your agenda, you're on my agenda. Like I'm gonna release what
Mm,
songs I want to release because I'm the artist. Like I'm not gonna take that, you know what I mean? And I find it crazy that they hold him to such a standard when GNX was a good album but it wasn't full of that. Whacked Out Murals was very, it was a well written song. It had a lot of
sure.
substance, but
Yeah.
that album's full of bops, and people were dancing
Yeah.
to it, and I was too. I thought some of them were good, but why does Kendrick not get held to that standard? Like people are like, oh, when that album came out, people were like, oh, see, Kendrick's saying you to Drake. Kendrick is saying, oh, look, I can make club bangers too,
Yeah, yeah.
but people should want the most out of their artists. So why don't they get held to the same? I'm not understanding, right? So if
Mhm.
Drake makes an album full of bops, it should be received the same way as when Kendrick does.
Yeah, for sure. I think some of it is like Kendrick's Kendrick's because of what he's done in his past and because of the like just like huge monumentous like things that he's done for hip hop in general. Like, he has two albums that a lot of people would argue are the best albums in hip hop history
Oh
or
yeah, dude. Good Kid,
ever.
Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly. Damn, yeah, bro. He has a
So
an
so
insane catalog.
he has these huge albums, and I think he won the ear of the critics. And because of that, I think it's like once you kind of get there, and if you kind of stick as close to what you were doing there before, I feel like you kind of continue to have, in the same way that you think about a sport, a superstar is going to have the ref's ear a lot better than, you know what I mean? It's the same way. He won the
Yeah,
critics, so the critics are going to give him a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. Whereas the critics like to crap all over Drake. I will admit that. They do. They love it, especially recently. Um,
yeah,
and
dude.
anything he puts out, they're like, "Nah, this sucks. Like this is bad. It's horrible." And there's times where maybe I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I can see where you're going with that." And then there's other times where I'm like, "I think you're being a little harsh here." Like,
Yeah, you're forcing it. You're forcing
yeah,
it so people will comment on your video and say, "Facts, bro. We hate
yeah,
Drake." Like,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. So
making up points.
I think there is a little bit of that bias with Kendrick, where he puts out GNX, and I thought it was a good album, but I like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is like top 3." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I don't see that at
It's
all."
because of the hype right now. People
Yeah.
don't care. A lot of young people don't really know his old songs. Same with Drake. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking like I'm 24. How old are you?
32.
32. Okay, I'm 24, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking kids like 10 years younger than me, like
Yeah, I know.
14-year-olds that don't know. Kids that were
Yep.
born when Drake dropped Thank Me Later. Like
Yeah. Yeah, it's
how
crazy.
are you gonna have a valid take on this beef right now? Like you don't even
Yeah.
know the catalog. And that's why it's so hard for both sides. There's Drake fans in my comments that are just so far gone
Yeah.
and they're just too blindly supporting something that they have no idea about. That's why people keep switching sides because they're kind of growing in maturity and realizing maybe that was a horrible point that I made or maybe I don't agree with that anymore. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a real stance unless you've been here from the beginning. And we have from both of the artists. You were older at the time, so you probably appreciated it more than I did. I was younger in the sense that maybe I didn't understand the lyrics when they came out. But now that I've, dug into both their catalogs, I feel like I can have a fair opinion on this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, of course. And yeah, it's that the youngness is really like taking over hip hop right now, especially when you think of like newer artists that are starting to hit their stride. You think of Playboy, you think of Ken Carson. Like these kids they're like preteens to teenagers that are
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
moshing in the pits. And it's like, this is insane.
Hmm.
But it's good for those artists. It's great. They've got fans for
Great.
the next 20, 30 years. It's amazing. And, that's what they want. But yeah, it does make it so that if you get some of these fans coming into artists that are older, have established catalogs, that not only if you like don't take the time to go back and listen to those songs, sometimes like if you weren't really around within the like 5 years of that album dropping, you can't fully grasp like what happened in culture when that album dropped. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it's
That's my
really hard
point, man.
to understand that. You can like obviously do your research and you can watch documentaries and videos and whatever, but like for the most part, like yeah, it's just totally different when you're waiting for Kendrick to drop To Pimp a Butterfly, and then he does, and then you listen to it. You go and buy it on CD, and then you listen to it. It's like that's a different experience. Not that you're gatekeeping that, because like you don't want to do that either. But
No,
but
no.
there is a difference, like of when you follow an artist from like pretty close to day one and for a long time. Like it's like what people feel right now with Playboy. They're like, "Man, I was listening to him from day one, like when he was just dropping stuff on SoundCloud or whatever." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "I don't get that, cuz I wasn't following him then. I really didn't hit my radar until Die Lit." And so it's like so I don't get it. As much as all these young people are like, or younger than me, are like, "No, man, like you like he's the new next big thing." And I'm like, "I don't get it, man. Like I think he's got pretty decent stuff, but like I don't get what you're talking. Yeet is the same way. I'm like, I don't get this. Like, I don't get. I wasn't there for it. I didn't see it.
And that's the
So
beauty of it, though. That's the beauty of music because, like, these people are they Cardi developed such a like diehard fan base because
mm,
he spoke to these people in a way that they understand and the rest of the public doesn't, right? Like I don't get the whole mumble rap Cardi knees I don't really get it. Some of it's like, okay, I could listen to that, but some of
Yeah.
it's like, what are you saying? Like,
Yeah.
is this even words, you know?
Yeah.
And they understand it because it's more about the sound and it's more about when you close your eyes and the way you feel when you're listening to it, I guess,
Sure.
right? So that's why I don't publicly bash him or anything, and or I never reviewed his music and said I don't like this guy, he's horrible. But I've also never went out of my way to review his music because it's not huge for me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's yeah, you can't in an honest way, right? Like
Exactly, exactly.
yeah. Um let's move on to let's do a couple lists here. I'd staying on Drake.
Yes.
I'd love for you to give me your 5 favorite Drake songs.
Okay. So, okay. There's two categories here. So,
Sure.
I would
Okay.
say I would love to do my favorites, but it's unfair because he's been so big for so long. I have to give you the 5 career defining songs
Okay.
first,
I like it. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the 5 favorites, personal favorites. So,
Okay.
career defining songs, we gotta put Best I Ever Had for
Yeah.
sure,
Mhm.
Headlines,
Yeah.
Over,
Mhm.
Marvin's Room,
Yes, for sure.
Find Your Love,
Mhm.
and I'll put, honorable mention, How About Now?
Okay. Mhm.
Those I think those 6, but specifically the first 5, I think you can play any one of those songs around almost anyone, and they'll know exactly who it is. You know,
Yeah.
even I'm talking even older people,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
my father, my mother, you know, like people
Mhm.
that they're like, "Oh, yeah, isn't that Drake guy?" You know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I
Those are
think that they're
huge.
so nostalgic for me, and it's just like the base. He's created a base off of those songs, so it'd be rude for me to not include them or mention them at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then my favorites, I'm gonna go by writtens, like long form,
Okay.
written songs.
Mhm.
I'll put Two Birds, One Stone is like by far his most underrated song, by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Middle of the Ocean from Her Loss.
Yes.
Um,
I love it.
6 p.m. in New York,
Mhm. Yeah.
Tuscan Leather,
Yes.
and 30 for 30 freestyle on What a Time to Be Alive. Because
Okay.
he on 30 for 30, I know it's a little bit out there to put 30 for 30, but he really that's when he starts mentioning that he knows that people are going to try to take him down if you listen really closely to
Mhm.
what he says that
Yeah.
whole song. He's
Yeah.
talking about how he knows the industry is going to be against him, and he just spoke it into existence. And to listen to it now after everything that happened last year, it's just mind blowing. It's like, how did you see that, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. No, that's a really good list. Honestly,
Thank you, I
I
appreciate
really
it.
like I really like 30 for 30. Seriously. Like
Banger.
I think
Oh,
I would agree that that's like it's kind of like I don't think people would go there, but yeah. That I do like I think sometimes I ride the wave of like I can ride the wave of Drake hate because I'm not a huge fan. And
yeah.
sometimes I get swept up in it. But then I get these little reminders that I'm like, no, Drake isn't just a pop star. Like he's got chops. He's got rap chops. And I was reminded of that when he released For All the Dogs, and then I forget what did he call his like his deluxe or whatever his bonus that he released with them.
Scary Hours
Yeah,
3.
when he released Scary Hours, I was like, man, I was reminded. I liked those tracks much more than I liked
Oh, yeah,
from
absolutely, dude.
For
He
All the
came on Stories About My Brother, Red Button. Those are some of his best rapping in the last 5 years for sure.
I was like, man, like I gotta ground myself here every once in a while and go back and listen to some of Drake's like really just yeah, kind of like you said, his longer written like he can do it. He
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily want to be doing it all the time. He likes to have fun. He likes to
Yeah,
make
anybody
bops,
does, and that's fine,
but
dude.
he can dish that out. And like yeah, maybe he doesn't have the same like the same skill set that a Kendrick does, but, like,
Mhm,
who else does? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Kendrick's a once in, like, a lifetime lyricist for a lot of reasons, but Drake is once in a lifetime, for one, like, just versatile
mhm,
and somebody that can just he's just a banger machine. He just, like it's just constant. He's just all the time throwing out huge tracks that are gonna get, and, a lot of this now is the snowball of his following, but there's still huge tracks. There's still
He's
like that.
developed the name for himself that he's developed is if you put the name Drake next to any artist, people will listen to the song. It doesn't matter if you've ever been heard before.
Yeah.
I always think back to the Young Thug interview where he's talking about how like people ask him, I don't even remember what podcast he was on or who was interviewing him, but they asked him, what he thinks about Drake, and he's like, listen, man, I can't hate the dude. Like people want to say he's not street, he's not whatever. Fact is, he's done so much for me. He knows that he can pipe you up. He knows that he can put you number one, and
Mm,
he does it just because he can. Like
yeah,
he's do at a certain point, you got to get bored of being on top. Like at a certain point, you got to be like, okay, dude, this is too easy. Like who can
yeah,
I work with now? Like let's see if I can do Atlanta style rap. Let's see if I can do this, that. It's not it's not running to Atlanta to get a check balance. Like
yeah,
that's the thing. I think it's more in a way I understand why he said that because a lot of the artists he works with are from there, but I think it was just a way of branching out and Kendrick used that as ammo and it worked really well in his
yeah,
favor.
yeah,
But I don't think Drake's intention of starting to work with Atlanta artists when he did way back when was to get money out of them. I think it was more like, yes, okay, the goal is always to get money, but I don't think he's grimy like that, like the way that he wrote him to be. Because how do you become grimy like that? Or how are you still grimy like that when you're worth millions? Like, I
yeah.
understand being grimy if you're underground, you're not worth anything, and you're like, okay, well, I got to get a bag somehow, like whatever. Okay, but it's not believable that he would be that grimy. I don't believe it.
Well, and like also, if Drake was underground and he was doing that, people would actually look at that more like he's just doing whatever it takes. He's just But
Exactly.
because Drake has such a big platform, it turns into now he's just trying to ride, he's trying to ride the wave of whatever's popular, and he's just jumping from ship to ship. And like who knows what Drake's motives are? Like, you get you want his motives to be the best motives. You get Drake haters, they want his motives to be the worst motives. I'm sure there's times where his motives aren't great. His motives are just like, yeah, let's put out an album. I'd love some extra cash. Like, I
Yeah,
don't like
absolutely.
but so many people do that. Like, that's just the music industry. And, like, maybe that's what, like, Kendrick is thinking. Maybe he's like, "If I tackle Drake the Giant, that's like tackling the hip hop music industry." And it's like, well, maybe, but, like, I don't know, why aren't you going after the labels? Like, the labels are the real like, why aren't you going after Spotify? Like, those are the real bad actors in all of this. I let
Now,
Yeah, I don't know.
no, you're right, dude. You're right. Go after the people that are making it, hard for you. Like, I don't know. I think since Scorpion, I'd say 2018,
Mhm.
he has been doing exactly what you said. Like, just kind of, yes, he puts in work, but you know, he's not like the albums that he dropped before 2018 were so well thought out, and I think
Yeah,
that it's completely fine to argue like Dark Lane demo tapes. He made that while he was in while we were in quarantine. He released that from his house, his home studio, and yeah, it was a good album, but it wasn't his best work, and he even knows that.
yeah,
But I think I think after Scorpion, I think he's had generational wealth since 2018, like enough that he can look in the future and say my kids and my kids' kids are going to be fine. So
yeah.
like I don't have to work my ass off as hard. I'm still going to do it for the fans, but I
Mhm.
don't have to like sweat anymore. And like that's admirable to like everybody wants to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
hard to hate on the guy knowing that it's hard to hate on the guy for putting out a little bit more laid back music, right? But that's not to say that he hasn't still put his foot on the gas when he needed to in those, few
sure.
years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I thought this would kind of be fun, and this is only if you're here for it. But what do you think are Drake's 5 worst songs?
Okay, Ratchet Happy Birthday, I don't like it.
Man, that is I agree.
I dislike it. I really do. Like it's not even like I played it on my birthday. I remember one time I did a video like 2 years ago. I played it on my birthday and I
Sure.
watched it back and I was like, why did I do that? I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, why am I convincing people this song is good? Nobody thinks this song is good. He just did it to have like a birthday song. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But my God, dude, I can't
yeah,
play that. Like, I will skip that one. I'm sorry, I will.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Um,
Hey.
Probably Glow. You know Glow with Kanye?
Oh yeah, yeah. I totally forgot that song existed.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that when I skip that one pretty often.
Mhm.
Um, See, that's the thing though. I'm so nuts. Like I can't even think of a song that I hate so much, right?
Yeah.
Let me look. Let me look.
What is
No, tell me, tell me.
what is that song that everybody like references? It's like uh it's like isn't it like the Hey There Delilah like but he
No. You will not speak ill of Wagwan Delilah. That song is for Toronto. That is for the city. That was made by Snow Day. I don't know if you know the content creator's name, Snow Day.
No, no.
Been doing okay. Snow Day has been a content creator from Toronto for so long. He does like the Toronto accent, like super heavy, like
Oh,
super
okay.
over announced, and people
Sure.
hate him, right?
Yeah,
But people
yeah,
love him too.
yeah,
And he's the one who made that song. So Drake hopped on it just for two lines, right? Because
yeah.
he's like, this is hilarious.
So it's more like intentionally bad. Like he was like,
Yes,
"I
it
know
is.
this
It
is
is. It
horrible,
is
just let
literally.
me
It
know."
is made to be bad. It is made to force the accent. And that's
Mm.
what it is.
Okay. Well, you know what? I didn't know the history of it. I've just seen it and I've heard it. And I've seen people basically reference it as just one of the
Mm.
worst songs ever. So I didn't know the story. But when somebody says this was made to be intentionally bad, I'm like, okay, I give it bad, then like obviously
Dude,
you're not
I
gonna
he said, this is what he said. He says, Wagwan Delilah, no, I'm late because there's bear traffic. I just showed my dog your gram. He said he knows a man that slapped it. I'm so cheesed. Like nobody knows what that means if you're not from, you know what I mean?
I don't know what it
He says,
means.
I showed my friend your Instagram. He says he knows someone who, who
Yeah,
has been with you and in
yeah,
relations. I'm so cheesed. Like I'm so vexed right now. I'm actually pissed.
yeah.
Why would I go for a girl like this? And you're just supposed to hear it and you're supposed to be like, this is a conversation I could be having with my boy walking down the street right now.
It's
Or this is
funny.
a combo I could be having in a high school cafeteria. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
That's how you're supposed to feel listening to it. So
Hey.
that's why it was received so poorly. But no, if you're from the city, you did not hate that song. I promise.
Okay, okay. Hey, I'm so glad I brought that up
I'm
because
so glad you did too.
I would never have known any of this. I would have just assumed that he had some sort of a stroke and did that song for some reason.
Nah, dude, nah. Snow Day. He was showing love to a creator from Toronto. So I
That's
respect it, man.
Hey,
I
you
do.
know
I
what? That
honestly do.
I could actually respect that too. I've completely done a 180 here.
Let's go
From
for okay, let's go off of honestly never mind.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of like calling my name, calling my name.
Mhm. Yeah.
The chorus. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
say it, but it's kind of like, dude, what are you saying right now? I know he's speaking to the female fans, but I can't listen to that one either. Like when it comes on and I'm like, maybe if I'm a little saucy, like maybe if I have a couple drinks in me, I'll listen to it. But otherwise,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
no, switch
yeah,
it. I
not it.
can't
Yeah,
listen to that.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
are the three that I
That you
skip.
take it.
I'll
Okay,
say confidently.
okay. Hey, you know what? 3 is better than I wasn't even sure if
You didn't
you
think
never
I'd have one.
well,
You thought I'd be like, no, I can't even say anything
I
like that,
can't
dude.
speak anything
No,
against
no,
Palm
no, I
Springs.
would never. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that's yeah, hey, I can get on board with all 3 of those.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah, no. Ratchet Happy Birthday, Glow, and Calling My Name, bottom three Drake.
mhm, yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
Did you listen to Duppy Freestyle?
I don't think so, no.
So this is a song. That's the song that Drake released before Pusha released Story of Adidon.
Mm, 'kay,
So in
okay,
Duppy Freestyle, there was already some song that was released. I think it was because so Drake dropped Views in 2016 with
mm,
Pop Style on it.
yep,
Pop Style was supposed to be a collab with Kanye and Jay-Z. And then Drake just threw it in the trash and posted it on his album, just him, right? Got rid of Jay's verse, got rid of Kanye's verse. And I don't know if he told them or not, but then they were beefing like the next year. So it had to be a result of that, in my
mm,
opinion.
okay,
I don't know what was said first, but Kanye or Drake came at Pusha and Kanye like super, super hard in Duppy Freestyle.
mhm,
And he said the words, he said something like, Father had to stretch his hands out and get it from me. I pop style for 30 hours, then let him repeat. So, anyways, he was asked in an interview. Kanye was asked in an interview like a few years later, and he admitted that Drake wrote 30 hours and Father Stretch My Hands, those two songs on Life of Pablo. And I found it so crazy that the guy would say that. Like he managed to work pop style 30 hours and Father Stretch My Hands into those two bars. I was like
That's
blown
crazy.
away. I know it
Yeah,
might be simple, but it was just like, how did you when my
yeah,
brain made the connection of that's what they were beefing about pop style, I
yeah.
lost it. Right.
That is pretty.
And the
And does Kanye, does he have like in any of the credits? Does he have Drake on any of
I
those
think
credits?
so. I think in life,
Okay.
I think on Life of Pablo, I think he has Drake in the credits for 30 hours. I'm not sure about Father Stretch My Hands, but 30 hours, I believe. I could check that for you if you want.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just curious if that was like if he kind of acted as a ghostwriter there without any credits, or if he got that credit.
Yeah, dude. Those two are in my top 10 Kanye songs because of that. Probably because of that. Like not even knowing about it. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know that he wrote 30 hours, but
Mhm.
now that I listen to it, I can't hear it without hearing Drake's voice instead of it. I can't. Like it's the
Yeah.
same flow. I can hear him reciting the song exactly, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah. Man, that's
Definitely.
crazy. Yeah.
Kanye's he's been a great artist. Like what he's got going on now is like completely
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be co-signing any of these tweets or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
believe me, he's losing it. But if you can separate the art from the person, you can appreciate his old music and you can see where he came from. Like Through the Wire is like one of the best songs ever. You know, I'm not saying Kanye songs, like I'm saying ever. Like it's so fantastic. Just the whole idea of having his mouth sewn shut and saying, no, I'm still gonna spit this and I'm still gonna get this off, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And people
Totally.
don't give him enough credit as an artist because they don't a lot of people don't know about that, and the people that do, it's hard for them to turn their back on somebody who they respect so much because it's like, dude,
Yeah.
who does that? Who
Yeah.
does anything like that? You had Pharrell's jaw on the floor when you heard that.
Mm.
Pharrell, somebody who was
Yeah.
established at the time. You got to respect it. You have to.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard pill to swallow, I think, for a lot of people. You still have like you still have diehards that are gonna follow him to the pits of hell, basically.
Yeah,
But
and yeah, it's hard to
yeah,
convince those people, right?
yeah, it is. And I think it's just such a hard. It's hard to see such a drastic fall from grace in the sense of like he
Mhm.
he was
Rough,
changing
man.
hip hop more than anybody, and he's always been a wild card. Like once kind of you know stuff started getting jumbled up there. I don't know what was happening with him. Like who knows what's going.
His dentist upped his prescription too high, apparently. I don't know.
What like once like stuff was going on with him, like I feel like he was still a wild card. People were still like, but he could do something that changes hip hop forever because he did it in the past, right? But it's like now it's like I don't think anybody's convinced that that is possible
I
anymore.
know, and it's like you want to think he still could, but dude, he's saying some real touchy stuff that I don't even want to say right
Yeah.
now. Like
Oh, it's wild.
things
Yeah.
that you read and you're just like, oh, but he
Yeah.
made graduation, but
Yeah.
no, like he did. And like, that's why I said, if you can separate the art from the artist, yeah, you can enjoy old Kanye music and listen to it now. But his last, his last album, Vultures, it was horrible in my opinion. It
It
just,
just wasn't finished. Neither of them were really
it
finished.
wasn't exactly. It was unfinished. It felt like he just said, "Yeah, I know we're only 70% of the way, but I gotta put something out. I gotta."
And like it wasn't great anyway, but it made it worse that it was not finished. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like if it was finished, then maybe it could have been okay, but like it's like what are you doing, man? Like because if anything, like Kanye is not like the best rapper. You know what I mean? Like he's not known as like the best rapper, but he's known as like one of the best producers. Like
Yeah,
that's where he changed everything. Was his creativity with production, how he brought in like these features of pop stars, even though I don't really love his Chris Martin feature on Graduation, like that changed hip hop. that you're like, whoa, Chris Martin from
Yeah.
Coldplay feature on a hip hop song, like that changed everything.
Hmm.
And his use of, tracks and his use of samples, like all that stuff. He did so much stuff for hip hop as a producer, and it's like, really, you're gonna do that? You're gonna go and you're gonna leave an album like from a producer side of things, like just totally undone and like
I
not.
think it was I think it was more of a like a screw you to the people that are taking him down and making him. He never wanted to be in this headspace that he's in right now. Like, if you asked him in 2005, he would have said, no, like, I'm going to be famous and I'm going to, be successful and I'm going to be remembered positively for, my music, for what I produce. And like, I think there's a lot of things that happened to him along the way that forced him, I guess, into this corner. But
Mm,
I think that the album being unfinished was a screw you to, the music industry in general, because he feels like he was let down. Feels like he put his whole heart and soul from the beginning. And, you know, because he ended up with Kim and what happened there, and, people just see him so negatively in the media. And he's like, why am I gonna add and keep trying so hard just to win over the fans again? Like, screw them. Like, they gave up on me?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does feel like it is kind of that, a screw you, and then also, like, it was kind of like a pride thing, I think, too, like, I can literally just, like, put out garbage
Yeah, yeah,
and go
yeah.
to number 1, you know what
Do
I
you know
mean?
who I am? I'm Kanye West. Do you know who
Yeah,
I am? Yeah,
which
exactly.
is, like, it's sad that it it's sad that we kind of proved him right in that, like, you know what I mean? Like, and to some degree, you don't wanna, like, you don't wanna feed an ego like that, but, like, he still has a loyal
Yeah, for
fan
real.
base. He still has a bunch of people, and like everybody's gonna go listen to it just for shock value too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, what's this? That's new Kanye." Like, he's got enough of a reputation from his past, but it's just it's like watching a train wreck, man. You can't look away. It's like
You can't look away. That's
you don't want to look
perfectly
at it,
said.
but you can't. You have to pay attention and read all the tweets, and then just be like, "Woof!" Like, what is
Yeah,
going?
and you have to. Yeah, because if you don't read them, then you're choosing to be ignorant, and then if you start defending the guy publicly, you got to be careful at that point. You got to know what's going on, right? You can't be just like, I'll just look at what I want to look at, right?
Yeah, yeah,
If you're gonna be in this space and speak publicly about it, you have to be educated, or you're not gonna be credible. You're just not. People aren't gonna take you seriously.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. Oh, it's sad. Well, I don't wanna keep you too much longer. We've been
Yeah,
going
dude.
for a good amount of time here.
I was about to say I'm gonna cut it there, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with you, man.
Yeah, no, this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and anybody that's listening, I'm sure you probably already follow Sal, but if you don't, check him out on TikTok. He's also on Instagram, and, you're gonna get a lot of great Drake content, and it's gonna be great. You're gonna love it.
Follow the restaurant too at Big Slice Kitchen.
Okay, nice.
Starting
Big
some
Slice.
cooking content up there too.
Okay, that's sweet. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, so just check them out. We had a lot of fun, and come back next week for another episode and another guest. Thanks for joining.